Hi everyone, this is Anna Maria with Henschel Chiropractic. Today I want to talk about your psoas. Your iliopsoas would be its full name. And you might have heard this before, right? So if you've come into the office, you've got a tight low back and the doctor's like, oh, you need to stretch your psoas. And you're like, okay, and you walk out the door and you're like, I have no idea what that means. So your psoas is this little muscle that actually connects right here on your spine-ish, right? Travels down and hooks underneath your femur. And it's a very deep hip flexor, right? And fun fact, it is the only muscle that can lift your leg above 90 degrees. That's your psoas working, okay? It's also, it's just the master of mayhem. So when we sit a lot, so if you drive a lot, if you're at a computer a lot, or if you simply sit a lot in your life, that psoas can get shortened, okay? And when it does, it creates tension in your low back, because then you go to stand and you're like, oh, and you can't stand up all the way straight. That's because that psoas is angry and it's overexerted in its work, which means it needs to be stretched. So we're gonna work on that today. First thing you can do, right? Wake up in the morning, scoot over the side of your bed. I don't have a bed here, but I'm gonna let one leg dangle off, right? And immediately that's gonna help open up that deep abdominal muscle, right? That iliopsoas. That's the first thing you can do. The next thing you can do is come into this short lunge. This is one of my favorite psoas stretches. So I've got a short lunge here, right? Think a lot of 90 degrees. Got 90 degrees at my left knee, my right hip, my right knee, ankles, and so forth. I'm gonna tuck my tailbone under, feel like I'm lifting my pubic bone, okay? Already, I can feel length happening, right? Even just right here. But I'm still gonna reach this left arm up. Now I'm gonna cross the midline of my left arm over to the right. Now it's already really, really talking. Like I can feel a big stretch all the way down my quad, but also within, whenever you feel that stretch right there, right in your, almost feels like a groin muscle, but doesn't go down your leg. That's the lower third of your psoas, right? So I'm over the midline. Without taking my right knee with me, I'm gonna rotate ribs over to the left, open it up, and then find a very small back bend from there. Now that, you'll feel that immediately, right? And you'll hold. And release. Good, do that 2 or 3 times, right? Try to hold 15 to 20 seconds, right? You can work all the way up to 30 seconds if that feels good, but it's more about finding a little bit more consistency and more reps to get in there. Bring your left foot forward. Sit up nice and tall. Take a moment here to lengthen your tailbone down, to lift your pubic bone up. Right arm lifts. Start to cross the midline of that right hand over to the left. Pause here. Right? Without taking your pelvis with you, just rotate your ribs open to the right, and we'll find a small back bend from there. It might even be with just your intention, right? Good, and hold and repeat. If you're somebody who's got a little bit more mobility, if you're a little bit more flexible, you can come into this version of lizard pose, which is also one of my favorite poses. But again, this is not for everyone, right? So if you're really struggling, if you've got some real mobility issues, you're just gonna wanna fast forward this part, yeah? So we'll let that right now, I'll show you on the other side. It's a little bit easier to see. So I've got my left foot forward. Those left toes are gonna point out about 45 degrees. I'll let this left knee go down, reach back, and pick up my right foot. As I roll that left shoulder back, I'm gonna let my right hip just roll right under me, and that's gonna stretch the psoas on the right side. Now you'll also feel a pretty big hip stretch on the left side, but that's a really good way to get into your psoas. Again, that's for people who've got, if this was like crazy talk, don't do it. Okay, the last thing I want to show you is using a block. And if you don't have a yoga block, you can use a couple of books, right? You could even use some stiffer pillows or like a bolster or something like that. They all do the same thing, you just want a little bit of height, right? But you want it firm enough that the weight of your body doesn't squish it so much it doesn't give you any lift. So on your back, there are 3 heights to your block, right? There's the lowest one, there's the middle one, and then there's the tall one. You're most likely gonna work on the lowest one, maybe the second height, probably the lowest one. Bring it underneath your sacrum. So your sacrum is at towards the bottom of your spine. It's that little triangle bone right about where your booty starts, okay? So I'm gonna keep my left leg bent. I'm gonna bring my right knee in, pull it in, and stretch my left leg out. Now, if you don't feel a stretch, here on this left side, on the psoas, right deep, right in here, couple of things. You can spin the inside of that left thigh down, right? So it's likely that your left toes are pointing out and trying to get out of the stretch. So roll them back in. And if not, you can always raise the block to the higher level. But you want to feel that stretch in both directions here. And then we'll bring your left foot in, bring your right foot in, and switch. Interlace your hands, start to bring that left knee in, start to stretch your right leg long, and really push out through your right heel. And then again, make sure you roll the inside of your right thigh down. Take some nice deep breaths. With every exhale, I want you to think about letting your belly slide down, letting your low ribs on your back slide down to the mat. And then if you're feeling a little bit more open after doing each side individually, you can send both legs long in front of you. And then again, see if you can roll your low ribs down. So creating a little bit of tension here. Good, bend your knees, push into your feet. We'll slide the block off and bring your knees in. Give them a hug, give them a little rock left and right. And release. The last stretch I want to show you is going to be, we're going to start in a figure 4. So I'm going to cross my left ankle over that right knee and just let those legs go over to the left. You can heel toe your right foot to the right slightly and just let the weight of your left leg help to open up this inner right thigh. Now, if you come over with your legs, right, and you've got that left ankle across your right knee and your right knee starts to hurt, you take that off immediately, okay? There is nothing in your knee that ever needs to be stretched, right? You can get, and if you're pretty tight, this might be enough simply to just be here. And you'll feel that immediately, okay? And then we'll come up, we'll find the other side. Right foot crosses over your left knee. Send both legs over to the right. And let the weight of your right leg help to open up the left leg. Always be willing to change the plan, again, so if you come over and that knee starts to hurt, take off your foot. And then we'll come back. Also worthwhile doing as you take care of your hips is just a windshield wiper, having those feet nice and wide and just working that mobility of your hips. And that's it for me for this. So any questions, of course, come by the clinic, call us, get your adjustment, and hopefully we'll see you soon. Hope this provides some relief for you.